Hi, thank you for being curious around our program 6 Steps to Loving the Body and Freeing the Mind. We've simply taken the very best of mindfulness, which I've been passionate about for many years, and we've merged it with what science and neuroscience scientists are telling us about how the body and the brain works. And we've also merged it, of course, with our own experience working with hundreds of clients on mindfulness and also in particular around our relationship between the body, the shape of our body, weight, food and eating. My reason for doing it really is to reduce the harshness that these issues bring to particularly so many women's lives as we try to push this body to look in a certain way rather than to listen and tune into this body and go with what it needs to be, to function well. So this program is not a diet. It is not full of rules and about what you should and must and ought to do in terms of eating and weighing and exercising. It's much more of an exploration. And that's the beauty of it. It's not about fixing you. It's about you realizing and feeling and experiencing that you're already perfect. And yet it's good if you can somehow also really consciously influence the change that is naturally occurring. So in a way, what we experience with this, because it goes quite deep in that when we take mindfulness and we focus on a particular area, it tends to go quite deep, is that it gives birth to a new way of being. And that's the intention. So all the benefits that mindfulness offer are in this program. The reduction of stress and anxiety, the increased well-being, that we sleep better, that we start to identify less with the contents of the experience, whether that be thought, feelings, or body experiences. We start to be freer in the way we experience things. But it's also about stepping into a much healthier and more peaceful relationship with this dear body of ours, our weight. And then also to experience food and the very act of eating as a profound symbol, if you like, or experience of our interconnectedness with all life. So it's so much more than just changing perhaps the size of your thighs. And so the program is called 6 Steps to Loving the Body and Freeing the Mind. Within this program, there are 9 pillars, and we start with just being aware, just being curious, starting to notice what is actually going on here. What are my triggers? When do I have the yearning to eat certain foods? When do I not eat? When do I eat far too much? What has happened just before? What's happening during that time? Because, we can't change anything till we are aware. So we have to start there. And it's just this curious space of going, wow, let me just observe. And part of it is also, of course, that we need to make sure that we move. We have become very sedentary the last couple of decades, and yet the body, of course, needs to move. That's how it's designed. If we don't move, we don't rid the body of cortisol, which is a stress hormone, which is not a good thing. But also exercise is the most powerful, probably, mood stabilizer. So the body needs to move, and that's what we start to do. Not from the perspective of making it super fit and super muscly, but rather just listening to what the body needs and looking after it. The next step is about attention management. And this is also extremely important because, after all, it's our attention that forms and sculpts our brain. And so if we don't manage that well, the forming and the shaping of the brain is just happening willy-nilly. So we want to be in the driver's seat when it comes to this. But when it comes to changing habits, our attention management is also absolutely crucial. It's actually research has shown that it is the most essential ingredient when it comes to willpower and when it comes to really managing ourselves well overall. And we know that because when we stand there in front of the fridge and we go, just want something yummy, what are the key things that we notice that we're standing there? So our awareness pays attention, and then we want to also shift that attention onto something else, right? We want to go, oh, what's happening in the body with that yearning? And then we also would like to use the attention to be able to zoom out, to go, how will I feel in 10 minutes' time if I take the next 6th Tim Tam? Right? We want to be able to access that perspective. They are all ingredients in good attention management. And then, of course, it's about coming into this dear body of ours. The body is always in the present moment. The body can't lie. The body stores everything that's ever happened to you, and it's all unprocessed data. So when we pay attention to the body, we're present straight away. One of the ways that we want to start to connect with the body is in kindness. Because I think if you think about how you tend to relate to the body, there's probably been a lot of harsh thoughts. And so we have to consider what that is like for the body. If we want to establish a good relationship, what are some of the things we do? We start to be kind. We might also flatter a little. We might use humour and warmth. And we spend time together. And so that is what we do when it comes to mindfulness of the body. We start to say, dear body, I'm listening. I hear your language. And just notice how intimate that feels, just saying that. I hear your language. Right? We start to, of course, really experience that the body is an organic thing. So how could we put almost non-organic food into it? We can't, right? Because the more intimate we are with it, the more we fall in love with it. And we protect what we fall in love with. The next pillar is about mindfulness of feelings. And you know, we have sort of a disposition to try to avoid unpleasant feelings through distraction and numbing. The problem is that the more we give in to that, the less we grow. We need to actually burst through some of those feelings. So this chapter is called Leaning In. It's all about being aware, so noticing the sensation, maintaining the attention on it, and then not giving in. Because we actually keep, of course, experience the feeling in the body. So ultimately the result of that is increasingly we don't need to eat to numb or avoid because we push, in a way, we stretch our emotional landscape. Let's put it that way. We also, of course, look specifically at reducing anxiety and stress. Because when we're stressed and anxious, we just find it very hard to make good decisions. Because when we're in that space, we just want to feel good. We don't care about being good. And we can't access the bigger picture. But also, the body tends to store fat even if we don't eat any more than we did before, simply because the body interprets the stress state in a way that makes it store fat. Then we also explore the diet cycle, and you're going to love this. Whenever we talk about this with people, they go, oh, that is so me. Here we've found that the wisdom from transaction analysis that said that we always either coming from a place of being the parent, the adult, or the child is really useful. The parent, of course, is all that we've learned from our parents and other older people as we grow up. It is full of should and must and ought to and respect and rules and all that sort of stuff. And the child is, of course, completely carefree, takes no responsibilities, all, just happened to me, I don't know what it is. And the adult in the middle is the one that is present, full ownership, has flexibility, and there's a spaciousness in the adult. So we notice that the diet cycle, of course, is a dance between the parent and the child. So the parent goes, you better not eat this. You better make sure you have your kale. Now you've eaten too much today. You better not eat it too much tomorrow. You better go for an extra long walk. You have to exercise really hard. Find a new trainer. La-di-la-di-la-di-la. While this is going on, the child is occasionally coming and going, it's Friday night. It's time for relax. You know you deserve it. You never know. It's a holiday. You don't get a chance to have these cakes that much, etc., etc. And eventually you go, have it. So you start to have it. And from that perspective also, once you have a little bit, it's often like, now I've blown it, might as well go the whole hog. And so however long you spend in this space, at the same time, you've got something knocking on your door going, you better get back on it on Monday. You better get back to the diet on Monday. This is not good. There's also shame and guilt and all sorts of things associated with that, the time in the child, if you like. So at some stage you come back up and there's the cycle. We know diets don't work, okay? Actually, being on a diet is one of the most powerful predictors of a, if you like, dysfunctional relationship between food, weight, and the body. In fact, everyone who's diagnosed, if you like, with an eating disorder has been on a diet beforehand. So we're curious, of course, around how do we break that cycle and how do we step into the adult? So that also means that, of course, we look at mindfulness of thoughts, right? What are these thoughts? We're particularly curious around getting to know let's call them seduction thoughts of the child, right? So we can recognize them and that we have an argument ready, right? But in general, also, we're curious around what the mind pumps out, because of course the mind just thinks like the eye see, right? It's just a function. And so we want to be able to notice it and not identify with it. And finally, a really big one. And this is all about taking in bliss. Joseph Campbell says, follow the bliss and it'll burn out the pain. And this is exactly what we've found, that the more we drink in life through gratitude, compassion, kindness, love, generosity, joy, the less we yearn. And the less we're likely to reach for food as a substitute for feeling good. In fact, we've done a lot of trying, if you like, playing with, having people sit in the voice of loving kindness, really being full of that beautiful space, and then saying, is there anything you would like with chocolate? We even pass it around, we even do the trays, and people go, Because when we're really full of life, the yearning simply stops. In Buddhist circles, of course, we talk about the hungry ghost being that yearning, that wanting. And in a way, really drinking in life is like a sock in the mouth of the hungry ghost. Science also tells us why this is so. Because when we are full of life, when we've really drunk it in, we produce oxytocin. It's the feel-good hormone about trust and love. And with more of that in our system, it communicates very clearly back to our brain from our gut. We're full. So people tend to eat less and also crave carbohydrates less when there's a lot of oxytocin in the system. Right? So now you have the 9 pillars. They're all integrated into one program. It's online. And it's rich in detail and information and additional research articles. If you'd like to know more, please contact me because I'm passionate about this and I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts and feelings about this. Overall, this program is all about stepping into more ease and joy with the body and, of course, the mind. And really start to drink in life, to sense our interconnectedness through every mouthful that we put in our mouth and into this dear body of ours.